This is going to be such a dope show. Starseed Film and Music, Social Chats, Mogul Productions. I've been pretty excited about this one. How about you guys?
Hey guys, yeah, thanks for hosting. It's Jake here. Great to meet you all. I'm looking forward to chatting today.
It sounds so good. The live stream. Hi everybody.
What's going on, Tonya? Show 22. This is 22, right?
It seems like yesterday.
My God, it does. This time flew by. Can't believe it.
She Crypto was our first guest, and now she's part of the team, the three of us.
Yes, man. Film 3 is growing at an exponential rate. There's how many like spaces? I don't know. Today, I think like 6 or 7. Before when we first started, it was just probably just like one particular like space that was happening all the time. But now it's grown by leaps and bounds, and I'm just so excited for filmmakers and creatives. Music 3, Film 3. It's just definitely a renaissance. So just excited to have different guests on weekly, just to get an overall consensus of what direction that people are taking individually in the space, and collectively to get to that level as to where we can impact each other in a positive way and help each other's dreams come true, because this is what this particular space was built for. Tonya and Geno came together, and Geno wants to pursue filmmaking, and so she came aboard to kind of help him will that to fruition. So this particular space is really conducive because we all can kind of come together and conversate about the film and create the Film 3 narrative, and help each other as we navigate this thing called Film 3. So happy to see everybody. I'm going to go on mute. Please retweet if you haven't, and please slide into people's DMs and let them know that Mogo is in the building for sure.
All right. So we're speaking to David. Who are we speaking to today on behalf of Mogul Productions?
Hey guys, yeah, it's Jake here. I'm
Okay,
head of our BD team.
All right.
David here, who's on the head of production oversight for film for Mogul Productions.
Awesome. You guys are doing some pretty big things. I'm looking at your accolades and I'm blown away. Like, wow. Amazing. Tonya,
thank you. We try and keep pretty busy and pretty active. New projects each week.
Absolutely. Tonya told me about you guys, and I went over to check you out, and I was like, oh my God, this would be a blessing for us to get these guys on here. Yeah, so totally blown away by what you guys are doing. When we start the space, I like to ask our guests, how did they get started in the film industry? Like, how did they start out on this journey? If I would love for both of you guys to break down how you guys got your start in film and how you guys came together to create such an awesome company.
Yeah, I'll let Dave go first, just because he has been in the film industry professionally for a long time. So, and he's been is also one of the founding members of Mogul. So I'll let him kind of kick things off.
Yeah, so I mean, my journey sort of began about 15, almost 20 years ago now, if I think about it, because COVID had about 3 years that we all seem to forget. But I've been making film and television productions for that time, and I would say about 5 years ago or so, a bunch of us worked together out for some drinks and just sort of co-commiserating over some of the pains that exist in the traditional financing model for feature film and entertainment production, and just like upset or wishing there was solutions to some problems that they plagued the industry, and I was new completely at that point in time for or to the blockchain industry and the crypto world. And when I started, listing some of my issues, they were like, "Yeah, we could solve that with the blockchain quite easily." It's like, really? What is the blockchain? How? And this just sort of led to some really powerful discussions in and around what the future could look like, and thus Mogul was kind of born amongst a small group of passionate individuals who love movies. Some of us filmmakers, others on the crypto and blockchain side, who had some ideas about how we could solve some of this by bringing transparency to the table. And what was kind of unique is that we didn't realize that we were sort of birthing film three at that point, through a commitment to transparency and engagement, and also through the creation of the NFTs that we launched with our token and our platform. But it was kind of nice to like, we're starting to deliver on this vision, and now here we are 5 years later, and we've got a robust platform built out. We have launched, millions of dollars of NFTs for both Mogul Productions itself, but also for other projects, and be it short films, features, animated series, and whatnot. And now we're actually delivering on this, and we're doing what kind of I wish that we could have done in some of the productions that I've done over the years, and now we're doing it for some of ours and other people's, which is kind of really remarkable when you look at it. So now we are basically a living and breathing decentralized film financing platform and NFT marketplace, doing some of our own stuff and also third-party independent producers projects. So it's really rewarding to sort of go from the last 5 years to today and see where we're at.
Awesome. Yeah, well said, Dave. And I guess just a quick intro for myself. I'm Jake. I kind of lead a lot of our marketing and business development and partnership stuff, and kind of came into the team about a year ago to help scale the platform and really onboard the next generation of film fans and entertainment fans, and getting them familiar with using Web3 technologies via the film world. So yeah, it's been a super fun ride, and I think Dave, you kind of covered off the business model pretty well. But yeah, in a nutshell, we basically exist to act as a financing vehicle for independent filmmakers, to help shine a light on their stories and get their scripts all the way through to the screen via NFTs and DeFi. So I'm excited to dive into it today.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm looking at the website here, and you guys is token is stars.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our utility token called Stars. So that kind of acts as the glue within our ecosystem, to help facilitate like the buying and selling of NFTs on the marketplace. You can use that to vote on certain elements of a film. We also have a staking pool that you can kind of stake your tokens to earn rewards throughout the year, and then it also acts as governance as well. So it kind of acts as the ability to provide a bunch of different use cases within the Mogul platform.
Awesome. So with the market right now, did you guys take a major hit, or are you guys able to keep your head above water as far as the crypto industry right now?
Yeah, so like obviously in regards to NFT trading volume, like there's no there's no denying it's absolutely plummeted. That's for sure. But in terms of like our long-term strategic vision and play, like nothing's really changed, because for us, like, people always want to go and watch great stories and go to the cinema and consume good content. So that's not really changed. If anything, we've actually gotten busier the last 6 months. Like, you can chat to Dave, and I can see James in the audience as well. Like, there's just so much going on, which is fantastic. So for us, strategically, as I mentioned, nothing's really changed. Like, obviously, the short-term trading volume for NFTs are down, but because it is such a new asset class, well, not asset class, but a way for people to get engaged with collectibles and that kind of thing. It's just going to have a few short-term blips as it kind of matures into mass adoption.
Awesome. Yeah, because there are so many companies that are struggling right now. when it comes to the crypto side of things. But it seems like you guys are, holding it down and still doing your thing. Um, so that's definitely a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
definitely for sure. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
no, I was just going to say, like, we're really fortunate that we've, over the last year plus, we've built up a really large, raucous community who's really super supportive of, between our various social channels, we're over 200,000 deep, so it's a really strong community. And they're, we're in the chats every day, going back and forth with them, and they really support the projects that we put on the platform, and we're super supportive of them. And again, it's really about providing and creating utility for people. And I know that word gets overused a lot in this space, but it's really, we look at, like, when we're engaging, it's how can we create experiential, um, access driven participation in our films, and that's what really gets our audience going.
Awesome. So you guys finance films uh, using NFTs and crypto. Could you explain a little bit more in depth for filmmakers that might have a script um, that they would like to present to you guys? What is the process?
Yeah, sure thing. So I guess from a process standpoint, how that would work is that a filmmaker or creator, they would submit their screenplay or story to our platform via the submissions page, and then basically that then comes through to our team. We review that, have a meeting with the creator or the filmmaker, and then from there we kind of work on an onboarding process to get them live up on the platform. So there's anyone can submit a script or a story. Like that's there's kind of no barriers there. Anyone can kind of submit that, and then from there we kind of curate the things we bring towards the community, to kind of position that in the best light possible to be successful.
I see. So I wanted to ask you a question. Someone told me this. It was a couple years ago. They said, submitting scripts is great, but if you're able to also submit some type of visual, like makeshift trailer, um, that can help get your point across a lot better than just shooting, the production company a script. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's the old adage, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and I would say a video done well is worth a million. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, because when you take a script, it's basically a blueprint. And I quite often, when I'm talking to investors, or people that are sort of fairly new to the industry, they sort of can't wrap their head around how does a film work? It's like, well, one industry that a lot of people do understand is building development, and you go, okay, think of it as your blueprint for putting this skyscraper into the air. It's a 40-story building, and it's going to cost 40 or 400 million dollars or whatever. And it's very similar to a film, as it's the script on a page, which is just words. That's your blueprint. And obviously, as you bring in all of your various technicians and your heads of department, they put their own creative spin on things and their influences and their expertise as well, frankly. And that ends up building your 40-foot skyscraper into the air that ends up getting seen by everyone who's in the area. And that's really sort of what putting a film together is you're taking that blueprint and you're bringing in a lot of skilled tradespeople and creatives to create a unified collaborative vision. And so what we're doing at Mogul is we're allowing the audience and the fans and the ultimate, um, the end consumers of this content, of this entertainment, to participate in that process by way of collectibles, by way of community votes, by way of really unique access and experiential events that they can take part in, to really sort of feel like they've got a collective stamp of ownership or a mark of, I was a part of this. And that's what we're trying to do at Mogul.
That's incredible. And I see your NFT project, Mogiland. It looks looks awesome, man. Just from the artwork and
Yeah,
everything.
it's a
Go ahead.
partnership that we're really proud of. We partnered with Eric Tran and his team at Chavo Studios. You may not know Eric and Chavo, but you definitely know the shows that they work on. And there's some small shows like The Simpsons and King of the Hill, to name a few. But that's what they're doing. We partner with them to create the Mogies. And it's a collection of 1,923 Mogies, which is in celebration of 1923, which is the year where the Hollywood sign was first erected. And that for us is something that we wanted to celebrate. And we're celebrating it not just with these Mogies as NFTs, but also with an animated series that Eric and his team are putting together. So we're really pumped and excited to bring this to not just the metaverse, but also to the universe.
Wow, that's super huge. You guys have partnered with shows like The Simpsons, Squid Games. Um, is this Toy Story to create their NFTs? And you have an animated series coming on top of that. That's super
Yeah, so
dope.
they're putting together the pilot episode right now, or the first episode. For those that aren't maybe familiar with that terminology, and that's something that's going to be on offer, and like a sneak peek kind of venue for those that are NFT holders, and then eventually we hope to have some wider distribution on maybe one of the more popular streaming platforms. But I can't say more than that right now.
Wow, I don't think you guys are gonna have any problems with landing that because this is huge. I mean, you're bringing in the fan base from each one of these shows and movies to the NFT space, and
Yeah,
you're
thank you.
creating an entire a show behind that. That's epic stuff right there. Mogies. Wow. And are the NFTs aren't available yet, are they?
So we did a pre-sale recently, which we just released about 250 units, and they all sold out, which was great. But the collection's only 1,923 pieces, so it's a pretty small collection. The 1923 is kind of like symbolic of the Hollywood sign being erected in 1923. So it's coming up to the 100 year anniversary. So it's basically a celebration of 100 years of Hollywood. That's kind of the premise of the collection. So, but to answer your question, yeah, we did the pre-sale, and then the upcoming public sale is happening in the next few weeks. We haven't set a launch date yet, but it'll be happening pretty soon.
I'm not sure if Jake mentioned it, but the pre-sale actually sold out. So all 250 they went, which is really awesome. And I think the other thing that's really unique about this collection is there's nothing sort of randomized about it. They are all individual, handcrafted NFTs. So each one is a character in its own right, which we're really excited about. So that everyone will have their own individual, unique Mogi that's created by Eric Tran and Chavo Studios, the team behind The Simpsons.
Wow. That's epic, man. You guys are doing it big with that right there. Wow. I'm on the site just reading more about the Mogies, and it's an incredible project. You guys are doing it big with that.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to share the blog post from their website. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you could
Yeah, I'm gonna pin it up right now in a few seconds. It's Mogies with attitude, bad boys for life. So cute, so adorable.
Yeah, we've been launching a few teasers from the Mogiverse and Mogiland over the last couple of weeks, and it's been going over really well with all of our moguls in the community.
so do you guys have a date on when you guys are gonna air the episode 1?
We don't have a date yet. We just kind of commenced production of the pilot, and then we've also got the trailer of Mogee Land, which is the Hollywood metaverse built off the back of the NFT collection. So that's kind of like phase 2, and then phase 3 is the animated series. But yeah, most likely in the next 12 months. That's kind of the plan. So obviously, just the production stuff takes a bit of time, but it's all kind of coming together, which is great.
So are you guys shooting for like streaming services or like say networks?
Both. So it kind of just depends on the timing, but probably a streaming service would be the first one, and then there's obviously a whole bunch of TV networks off the back of that as well. So yeah, the distribution is like obviously a pretty big one, but yeah, I've kind of already commenced discussions with several people that are interested in picking it up, which is good.
Wow. The animation studio behind Rick and Morty and The Simpsons. That's incredible. Chavo did I'm just looking at this artwork and I can't stop looking at it. It's so unique and creative. So I heard you said something about the Mogieverse. I like to ask all of our guests, what do they think about the actual metaverse and how they plan on kind of working their projects or their projects into the metaverse, like as far as podcasting or things like that. I could definitely see your characters as avatars within the metaverse.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I'm sort of shipping two words. Obviously, when I say Mogieverse, is we're combining Mogi Land, which is going to be our metaverse, um, and where that is being built right now, in concurrently with the Mogies animated series, and so that'll be launching. Everyone who purchases one of the Mogies NFTs will also get a plot of land in the metaverse, and things that we're
Mhm.
planning is, virtual film festivals. We're going to have a cinema in there for screening. There's going to be shops in there. There's going to be a place to sort of hang out and do actors interviews, Q&As, all that sort of stuff. It's all going to be on our roadmap. Just, obviously we got to take some time to perfect it and roll it out, but it's all being built right now.
That's super dope. And that's kind of along the lines of what we're trying to do, but you know, She Crypto tells me all the time we're a little early. We have our own little spot in the metaverse, and I want to record some shows from there and podcasts. But a lot of the guests and the people I would like to invite, they don't have the VR headsets yet. So we're kind of waiting on everybody to uh, get with the times, if you would, if you say so.
Yeah, because there's ways, I guess, now for people to participate in different virtual worlds within the kind of like the Web3 industry, right? So you can kind of go into a lot of these places and not necessarily require a headset. But I think for these kind of virtual worlds to really hit the vision for a lot of the people building them, it does entail VR and AR for sure, and like that element of the technological side is definitely a bit premature. So I personally think it's probably a few years off to kind of really see the vision. Like if you look at the trailer that Facebook did when they rebranded to Meta, like that kind of environment that Mark Zuckerberg was in, that's actually what they're building towards, which is still a few years off, but gives you a bit of context to like what's going to happen in the future, which is pretty wild. But I think for us, one of the main things we're trying to take a play on is the whole distribution and consumption of content. So with metaverses, what we're doing in these different virtual worlds is actually creating mogul cinemas in these different ecosystems where once we have films that are at a distribution level, they can also screen that content in different virtual environments where people can actually participate and kind of have events and stuff like that. So we've got about 6 different films at the moment that 6 different cinemas that we've either built or building in different ecosystems, and then from that, we're really excited to roll out our own through Mogee Land in the next few months as well.
I think that's what I'm most excited about. I feel like that's pretty much the key element to Web3 and, Film 3, because Web 2 was essentially about demystifying celebrity and ultimate exposure. And I feel like Web 3, Film 3 is about ultimate accessibility. And the one thing that people are confusing is that accessibility does not equal acceptance. So for me, I feel like as someone who's a filmmaker who's not actually looking for funding, who has made a film, the distribution process is definitely the Achilles heel to everyone. I feel like if that can be accessible, then there are so many more dynamic and rich stories that can be shared and told. And that's what I just cannot wait for. And what are you guys collectively in the room excited about? Film 3 and Web 3? What makes you most excited? What is going to change the landscape and change the world and people's lives? Because that's what we're here to do, right? So what makes you guys excited about Film 3 and Web 3 besides what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I think it's really well said. And one of the words you mentioned there was accessibility, which is definitely a really key word, because it really flattens the playing field for any filmmaker or fan to become a part of the process. And another element with the transition between Web 2 and Web 3 is really the redistribution of power within the film industry. So we are kind of providing more power back to filmmakers, firstly, to take control of their creative and financial autonomy around their IP. So that's really important. And then from the fan side of things, up until recently, like, they haven't really had the chance to engage unless that's via consuming that film via a streaming platform or going to the cinema, where now they can actually become part of voting. They can go to real premieres as a community member and stuff like that. So there's just a lot of stuff going on that's super exciting for all the different stakeholders.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what Jake was saying there, like, one of the things that really excites me about Film 3 and Web 3 is, you say accessibility, but I also say engagement. And one of the things that really sort of galvanized all of us at the beginning of the outset of Mogul was the power of the crowd. And that shines through so beautifully in Film 3 and Web 3, because it really is all about the audience at this point, and it's less about those who sort of hold the purse strings and whatnot. And so where I get super excited is I think about some of the projects that I've had in the past that were like big IP driven franchises that we ended up licensing out to some of the big streamers or networks, and then you go a season or two or three or four, and then they decide to not renew you. um, and what do you do at that point? Because you spent the last several years of your life building up an audience and a fan base who are very passionate about your show. And sometimes we're talking about millions, if not tens of millions of people that want to see this show and these stories continue. And they're kind of left in the lurch because one broadcast executive or head of a network or a team decides, nah, you know what, we're done with this. We didn't get 40 million people, we only got 37 million people, and that's not enough for the broadcast model. But in Film 3 and Web 3, oh my god, that's a lot of people, and that puts a lot of power in their hands to go, you know what, we don't need the network anymore, we can do this ourselves through really smart targeted campaigns. And that to me is like, once that gets harnessed, which we're on the precipice of doing, I think that's going to be a really exciting day for fans, and supporters of content and entertainment, and a really scary day for traditional networks.
This kind of reminds me of when YouTube kind of first came out and allowed people to start creating shows and monetizing their shows. And you had all these different podcasts and different YouTube shows basically blow up, um, and became huge shows. And these people went on to do bigger things, bigger and greater things. I see the Film 3 and the Web 3 scene right now, um, kind of following in the same steps.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a huge opportunity right now. The space is wide open. There's no noise whatsoever. when you're seeing a lot of clear leaders sort of come to the forefront of this, then I think there's a true opportunity for any independent filmmaker right now to really capitalize on this moment and capture the hearts and minds of the Film 3 community.
Hold on, somebody's sending a request to speak.
Yeah, by the way, if someone else wants to join in or you've got questions, please, this is not just about us. We want to hear from everyone else too.
So I'm reading up on your recent with Anthony Hayes. Can you tell us about that? About the filmmaker Anthony Hayes? Because he's launching a limited NFT series for an upcoming sci-fi trilogy. We love talking about this kind of film, actually.
Yeah, this is a project
Can-
retrogression, but I'll toss it over to Jake because he's a little closer to Anthony on the day to day.
Yeah, for sure. So, Anthony is one of the filmmakers we recently partnered with, and he's been involved in the industry for quite some time. His most recent film he just directed with Zac Efron. He also started in films alongside like Brad Pitt and Robert Pattinson and stuff like that. So he's pretty well connected in the industry. But yeah, to your point, he's releasing a sci-fi trilogy called Retrogression, and they're currently going through the financing process, and they'll be launching their NFT campaign on Mogul in the next few weeks here, which is pretty exciting. So that's going to kind of be one of our bigger launches of the last few months, and it'll give people an opportunity to kind of get involved from the script to screen process and get involved with a bunch of different kind of perks and events and opportunities we'll be providing to the community. So yeah, that's kind of acting as a vehicle to support the financing structure for that first film in the trilogy. And the actual NFT files themselves are all they're full like GLB, which means they're fully three-dimensional. You can actually scroll around the NFT to see like the back of the side of it, like it's fully immersive in regards to the artwork, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, that's coming up in the next few weeks.
Yeah, that's something we should definitely follow just to see your process. That's really great. I'm gonna be posting. I'm gonna pin it to the nest in a few minutes. I'm just I'm publishing it right now.
No, thank you. But yeah, so the idea for us from like a process standpoint is to really provide value throughout the 5 main phases of a production life cycle. So that's everything from in development through to pre-production, production, post, and then distribution. So within those 5 different sections of a film, there's a bunch of different use cases and utility that we can attach to those different phases. So for example, like when they start pre-production or production, there could be some like behind the scenes footage that's included to token holders, and then in distribution, there could be like a red carpet premiere. So there's just a whole bunch of different use cases. At the moment, we have about 45 different types of NFTs we can provide throughout the film process. So yeah, it's a really good value for fans that want to get involved.
I'm on their website, and we had Film Crib on, didn't we? I mean, yeah, they were on our is a Film Crib original.
Yeah,
Film
so
Crib, yeah,
Film Crib, yeah, that's like kind of a I guess you could call it like a distribution platform that Anthony set up to shine the lights on short films, which is fantastic. So yeah, they're pretty well versed in the world of crypto as well, so they kind of understand what we're trying to do, and they're definitely a valued partner.
Yeah, we hosted a space for them. It was great. We were like very excited about it, right, Geno? We thought it was kind of cool. I really like because short films are a big thing nowadays.
Absolutely, and their app is so incredible. Like I love logging onto their app. Like when I'm laying down getting ready to go to bed, and I'll just like binge watch 3 or 4 short films. The short films they have on Film Crib, like they're so well done. They're like actual feature films. They're just short films. They're just a lot shorter, but they're incredible.
Yeah, they actually. I'm pretty sure a lot of them are full award-winning films. Like it's pretty high quality. And we did tie that into the Retrogression series. So all the token holders from Retrogression will actually get full access to film crib suite of content and behind the scenes stuff there. So it's kind of a cool way to cross pollinate the different communities and the different forms of content as well.
Now, is that available on iOS? Because I didn't think so, Film Crib, unless they just updated it.
Yeah, I'm personally not sure. I haven't used it on iOS. I think it's mostly desktop I've only checked it out on, but yeah, I can find out for you. I'm just not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's interesting. I see that we have Grand Master Flip. You've been waiting for a while. Did you want to speak your piece, my guy? Are you there? It has been a while, but we'll come back to you.
He had his hand up.
Yeah, he came up to speak. He's been sitting down there for quite some time. Anybody else that would like to add to the conversation and ask Mogul or David any questions, please feel free. This is what this space is about. It's a communal space. It's about, access and opportunity. We're all learning from each other. Definitely all about the blockchain technology, Film 3, digital assets. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I'm not sure if I know James is listening in there, and he's actually also on our film team. And I'm not sure if he's in an airport right now. I'm pretty sure he's traveling back from Sydney. He just had his world premiere of a film he directed called Malibu Crush, and also starred in that. He's won about 15 awards around the world, so he's a big part of the Mogul team. And yeah, he'd be awesome to get his input if he's available to chat. But yeah, I can see White Rabbit's up there. How's it going?
Yeah, pretty good.
I pinned his post on there.
Thank you very much. Very interested to hear what you guys are talking about. I think Mogul is the exact kind of structure that we need in order to evolve into this space. And yes, we're early, but you guys, I feel, are doing it spot on. So congrats. And I wanted to ask you, I heard you were doing an NFT collection for this first animated series, which looks super dope. My question is, are you going to be strategically launching different NFT collections for every film that you make, or is there like a treasury in order to finance your projects?
Yeah, it's a great question. So to answer that, we are doing a NFT campaign with every project that we partner with, and then as we kind of really scale the business, the idea is to have a big film treasury where we can actually tap into to help finance the films. And if there's kind of any shortfall in financing from NFTs, we can kind of tap into the film fund and have it all vertically integrated. Like, that's kind of the long-term vision. But for now, we are looking to create campaigns around every film specifically, and then if there is a shortfall, like, we obviously still tell people to kind of pursue the traditional route with private equity or film financing or the production rebates in the different states and stuff like that. So this is more of a way, at least to start with, to help supplement the financing kind of issues for indie filmmakers. Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. And I heard that you guys were building cinemas, theaters in the metaverse, and I was wondering if your distribution and exhibition model includes a hybrid. I know that you can't speak too much about your partnerships, but you mentioned something about the bigger streaming services, and I think that what you're doing is also breaching the gap between Web3 and Web2 by starting in Web3 and then going a more traditional route when it comes to exhibition, if I'm not mistaken. So if you could shine a light on what your process is and what kind of like exclusivity rights you would be asking creators for, that would be very much
Totally. Yeah, no, that's a really great question, man. Thanks for that. So I guess firstly, in terms of the strategic vision, so what that entails is kind of like, it's almost like building a house in an area that is going to have a lot of demand, but there's not really anyone else living there right now. So by that, I mean that we do envision there is going to be huge mass adoption within consumption content in the metaverse. So with that being said, that's kind of our strategy to develop these different kind of cinemas where people can partake, and so almost like setting up our own distribution network in Web3. It is early, but that's kind of the play. But to answer your question in regards to distribution deals on that side of thing, ultimately, the filmmaker kind of owns the IP and the autonomy to make the decisions on how they want to sell the rights of distribution. I'll throw it back to Dave as well, but ultimately that is in their court. And then we kind of envision there'll be like a hybrid model in terms of like kind of similar how VOD comes after cinema and streaming and stuff like that, where it's kind of like just a stage rollout of the content.
Yeah, Jake's exactly right. We're not looking to take any existing suite of rights that filmmakers are already likely exploiting in their financing models. And we're actually looking to be more additive to the process, where think of NFTs and the campaigns that are being done here. Yes, it can provide part of your financing, but it's also doing a far more important thing, which is creating an environment for you to foster and nurture and grow and build your community for your film. And this is part of the problem that exists with current films, is that quite often you produce and make your film in this vacuum or in a bubble, whereas you and 200 of your closest friends who are working on the set, and then you go into the editing process and it's you and 10 other people that are developing this project and getting it ready for eyeballs. But you're not really, outside of maybe a test audience here or there, that your studio or distributor might put together, you're not really getting a lot of outside eyes on your project, and you're not really engaging your community. It's more of like you get your original press release out there, and then 2 years later, boom, a month or a week before you start to launch, you try and amass an audience and go, you need to consume this, you need to like this, you need to go see this, as opposed to building that relationship with your audience often and early. That allows you a chance to grow this community. So you've got like a team of warriors who are going to be out there, screaming from the rooftops, we love this film. This film's amazing. Why? Because we've been a part of it. Our stamp is on this. We feel that we own this project or this piece of content, and that's, I feel like, the true benefit to Film 3 and the the NFT campaigns that we're launching, that allows filmmakers to have some really cool control when it comes to the marketing of their project. And just to keep building on the marketing side of it, imagine now, for the year or 2 years that it takes you to build your film, you've been engaging and collecting all these data points that you can now take to your distributor, to your studio, to potential sales agents, and go, hey, look, we know we're a huge deal in Texas or in Thailand, in the UK and Germany and France and in Dusseldorf specifically. That's powerful data that you can go and help drive a larger sale in the film 2.0 world, or in the real world. Or if you're going to four-wall your production, you know exactly which cinemas or which communities you're going to do it, or where to direct your marketing and ad dollars, right? So you can actually save a lot of money by engaging your community early and often, and know exactly who you're selling your film to.
I completely agree, David. I think you're right on the money, man. And just to follow up on that same thought, when we build our communities, which is exactly what we've been doing, and we're focusing on subject matter that has to do with the community, so it was easier to even bring members of that community on board. And as you said, they're fighters, they're warriors, they want to see this, and it's not disruptive marketing, it's not disruptive advertising, it's just like they feel that they're part of the making of the movie. So my question is, and I totally understand if you guys don't want to answer this, but if supporters of the movie from the community that the creators are building buy an NFT, is that considered an investment? I mean, I understand that that's a way that you guys finance these films, but I also understand that there's a certain level of delicate legal structure when it comes to considering these NFTs as a security. So we can't necessarily, as creators, guarantee or even suggest a return on the investment for these NFT holders.
No, it's another good point. Happy to dive into that. So you're exactly right. That if people are investing, they technically have to be through full KYC accredited investors, and it then becomes a security, and it is a whole legal labyrinth of stuff going on. But for us, how we kind of structure it is that, yes, we are using NFTs as a vehicle to help finance films, like that's for sure. But in terms of how it's positioned to the consumer is that it actually is like they're buying access. So they're pretty much getting all these different perks and utilities and experiences throughout the life cycle of the film, and that's kind of what they're paying for versus a fractionalized percent in a film that they might get paid a dividend in 3 years' time. So that's kind of how we're structuring it, is more value and access orientated as opposed to fractionalized ownership. And I do definitely think there's going to be a big part for fractionalized ownership within the film world at Film 3 and that kind of thing, but we're not really there yet. So for us, like, we kind of think, based on the market research we've done, that kind of having one of a kind experiences for film fans resonate more with them than having like a fraction of a percent on an indie film that may or may not make money in the future.
Totally. Yeah.
To build on what Jake was saying there, if I could
Yeah.
just jump in quickly, right, Rabbit?
Go for it.
That doesn't preclude us, though, from setting aside a bit of a pool when the film is profitable, and us rewarding those people that are still remaining NFT holders, right? And that's where I think it becomes really interesting, is that it's not necessarily a profit; it's a reward for being a part of this exclusive group of people that believed early and often.
Absolutely. I totally agree and congratulate you guys. So what I understand is, like, if I buy a Mogee right now and the series takes off and it does wonderful, which I'm sure it will, then my Mogee, I can resell it on OpenSea secondary markets and also make a profit. So indirectly, I did make a return on my investment, even though you guys are completely protected because all you did was sell a collectible for the movie or the series.
Got it. And just to clarify, so the model I was just speaking about, like, that is the typical model, is that you're buying access. For Mogee specifically, that is like a whole another kettle of fish, just because we developed that in house and it has kind of several different big pillars within that ecosystem. But how we've actually structured with the Mogees is that the IP actually gets shifted to the buyer when they buy it. So versus like a film where the filmmaker they'd have the autonomy of the IP, where for Mogees that actually gets shifted to the consumer, and then we also pay out royalties via the form of rewards off the back of like revenue generated from the animated series, like collectibles in the toy realm or merchandising and stuff like that. So that's a bit more going on there. But yeah, it's
wow,
exciting.
That's wild. That's next level. I wasn't going to ask anything else, but that just opens up so many questions for me, but I'll reduce it to one. So if I own one of these Mogees, and let's say, not that I would do this, but if someone doesn't want their character to be in season 3, then you guys would basically just exclude that character. Is that kind of like what I'm understanding?
Yeah, so I guess that's a good question. I'm not actually like a lawyer. I'll just set that as a preface. I'm more of a marketing guy, but I haven't had someone ask that question before. So I guess the short answer is then, yeah, I'd imagine it'd be a collaborative process with whoever's been kind of like picked to go in the season. We could also actually implement quadratic voting, where the community can vote on what characters they want to see in different episodes or seasons, and then we can kind of get clearance from those holders as that kind of unravels. But yeah, it's a good question. Short answer is I don't know, but I presume it'd be a collaborative decision-making process.
I really appreciate you guys sharing, man. Can't wait to see what you do.
Appreciate it. No, thanks very much.
Geno, you want to take it away, buddy?
Yep. White Rabbit always coming through with the awesome questions. Appreciate you, Beth. I wanted to ask one more thing. VR film and VR filmmaking. What are your guys' opinions on that? Do you guys have any VR films, and do you have any filmmakers that are dabbling within that realm of filmmaking?
Do you want to go ahead, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little premature for me to entirely answer this question. However, yeah, I do have some friends that are doing stuff in that world. I have friends that have already done stuff in that world, and we may or may not have a project in the pipeline that is in that world. But I can't say too much right now on that. And yeah, just for exactly that reason, like, VR is a really cool medium for storytelling. Will it work for every film or every short or every TV series? Absolutely not. But that's also true of every story. It doesn't always make sense in every medium, right? So you need to sort of pick and choose your story that you're going to tell in that, and make sure that it demands or it benefits from it being an immersive style of storytelling.
I think VR films are, um, I think they're the future, man. Just how every time you watch the film, you can get a different experience from it. I really think that like the Oculus headsets or and the other their I don't know who their competition is. I can't think of their name, but in the future, the VR headsets and AR headsets are going to be just as common as cell phones. So I really think the VR film industry is just going to explode here in the next few years. Super stoked about it.
Yeah, it's a pretty impressive technology. And again, I think earlier in our conversation tonight, we were talking about, not everyone owns a VR headset. And so the adoption rate just isn't there yet. But those people that I have, thrown my Oculus on and made them watch a movie or go through an experience or play a game in there, they're just like, they're blown away. And they just cannot wrap their head around how intense that experience is. And I think it definitely is the next level of storytelling. It's just I think the question the studios are trying to wrap their heads around is like, how do you do it in a mass consumption environment? As well, it's fun to go see Top Gun in 3D with your glasses on. It's not necessarily as immersive as a VR headset where that sound is so real. It's right there in your ears that you can see 360 around you. And really it's a choose your own adventure in terms of the story, like going back to those old books that we all read growing up, right? I think that's the real power of VR is that whole ability to, like, if you want to go stage left for a bit, you can go stage left. If you want to walk over here and check under the table while everyone else is looking at something else, you totally can do that. And I think that's a really powerful medium.
I think we're at a precipice of film evolution with VR film. When you think back like 100 years ago, and with film, you had films that didn't even have sound. Then it evolved to black and white film. Then it evolved to color. Then it evolved into theaters using the 3D glasses. So I think we're at another one of those um, points where film is about to evolve into something we haven't yet experienced. So
Yeah, and I think the real stars of VR are actually going to be the sound team, those people that are building, mixing the soundscape and all of those little nuances that you hear going on, and DOPs, the people in charge of the light, because it's amazing how in any VR experience that I've had that's really excelled, it's those experiences that they allow you to explore, but there's a guiding hand in terms of the visual and the auditorial cues. Um, that are sort of guiding you through that experience where it attracts your attention. And those are going to be like the real stars, in my opinion, of those experiences going forward.
absolutely. And with movies, there are some movies where like I watch once and I'm not gonna watch it again. There's been a few movies where I'll go back and watch it over and over and over again. Not many though, but with VR movies, um, that wa watching the movie over and over again from a different perspective each time, it kind of changes the game. Like, um, you're able to see the movie from a totally different perspective than you did the first time. So, I think that rewatchability is going to be pretty high.
Yeah, it's kind of like I would be amazed to see what someone like Christopher Nolan would do with, a movie like Inception
Man,
inside this, or like Memento is one of those movies as well that everyone watches over and over, or The Usual Suspects. To like to see what clues they could pick up on, or the hidden Easter eggs that were there that they didn't see before. And so I think that's like that's VR and what it does for storytelling.
I don't know who I heard this from or what space I heard it in, but I think Avatar, the avatars that are about to come out, they might be incorporating a little VR. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I would not be entirely surprised at all if they
That would be
were
awesome.
going down that road. Because like those first movies, I know like everyone suffered from like blue withdrawal and stuff like that after seeing the movies, and because that was one of the, I think, the first theatrical experiences for a lot of people where the 3D film watching process really gelled and made a lot of sense, and people were just totally enwrapped and caught up and swept up into that world that was created for Avatar. So I wouldn't be surprised if the second and third are just like completely a VR experience extension built into the film, um, or actually the film launching on VR. Who knows? Could be some really interesting times ahead for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm here for all of it. So
Like, is your project is going to be as big as the apes? You know how like you see these people are having like they're making restaurants and they like really that they owning that one NFT they turn around and use to make a restaurant. They use that restaurant as part of the theme. We would that be something you're looking at, or can I do that if I bought one? If I
I mean,
was selling one?
that's a really interesting element of NFTs is the whole ownership of IP, which is pretty fascinating. But I think that has been the first real case study, at least in this industry, in regards to NFT holders monetizing that IP in different industries. Like for example, with Bored Ape, like you said, I think there's like a hot sauce company. There's like music record labels. There's I think there's I saw a graphic. There's like 15 different verticals that now that IP is in. So yes, to answer your question, like technically, if someone wanted to do that, they could for sure proceed. It's just more that they've created such a I guess entertainment's cult following within that whole ecosystem where it really enables that mass awareness when they're opening new lines of business. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's the good thing is about crypto and the blockchain is that you really don't know. You don't know what's going to resonate with people, and that somewhat levels the playing field. And I love that. But what I really want to do is thank everyone for their time. That time is probably the most valuable currency of all. We don't know. That's one thing that we don't have enough of is time. So I want to thank everybody who tapped in today with us. Tonya, this was amazing space. Well wishes to Mogul and David. And shout out to White Rabbit and Jeremy and Colleen and everybody else that Starseed and Seed and everybody that tapped in. Geno, you got it.
I definitely appreciate you guys coming and sitting down and talking with us. I see you guys have partnered with Beam, so you guys are family. And yeah, man, we guys are just rooting you all on. Your ceiling for potential. I don't see one for you guys. You guys are pretty much out of here with everything you're doing. So congratulations on that. And anytime you guys want to come back and talk about any project or anything you're doing, feel free. You have a home here. What I like to do at this time for every guest at the end of each show is, we have a golden ticket that we give each one of our guests. You are now in the Starseed Hall of Fame. We appreciate you for coming to talk with us. And yeah, congratulations, guys.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate you guys hosting. And yeah, I know you mentioned the Beam guys. Yeah, they're awesome. Mihai and Tess and those group of people are fantastic. And there's so many good projects, individuals in the space. It's really exciting time to be involved. So yeah, as I said, really appreciate everyone that's tuned in, and it's for you guys for hosting, and would love to stay in contact and help support what you guys are doing as well.
Appreciate that.
I wanted to say that I love your content. I was like surfing your website, literally looking at all your blog. I have so much more to. You guys have a lot you posted. I love this. So I was like sharing as fast as I could to match, but I'm definitely going to come back and check out your website some more. I learn a lot from there. There's a lot of information. I actually pinned up what is Film 3. Everything that I pinned up in the space, it's on Starseed's page. So if you guys want to take a look at it, you can, but that's where it's at. So, but yeah, you got some great content. Thank you for being here.
Oh, amazing.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's yeah, just to echo that, like it's definitely we do recognize as a pretty big element of importance to for education for people, and I think there's a lot of terms and buzzwords thrown around and all these new technologies and products, and it's just really important that we kind of dumb it down for the average person to get involved and yeah, just kind of create a really open community where anyone can ask questions and stuff like that. But yeah, without me kind of rambling on, thanks again for you guys for hosting.
All right, guys. See you all next
Thank you.
Wednesday, same time, same place. Starseed Virtual Film Festival. We out of here.
Bye, everybody.